Syria transformed from the beating heart of Arabism to the first followers of the Wali al-Faqih. How did Iran begin its expansionist project to control Syria? After his military coup in 1970, Hafez al-Assad, who belonged to the Alawite sect, sought to issue a religious fatwa that would ascribe himself and his sect to Islam in order to bypass an article in the Syrian constitution that states that the president must be a Muslim. For this reason, the Shiite cleric Hassan al-Shirazi issued a Shiite fatwa in 1972 that considered the Alawites as part of the Jafri Shiites. In return, Hafez al-Assad granted al-Shirazi asylum in Syria and supported him and his followers. This enabled Hafez al-Assad to ascend to the presidency and allowed Hassan Shirazi to establish the first Shiite seminary in Sayyida Zainab, Syria in 1975, which later became the Zainabiyya Hauza. Through Iranian and Iraqi Shiite references, Iran strengthened its infiltration of Syria. Al-Murtada Islamic Society was opened in 1981 as the first Shiite missionary institution in Syria, headed by Jamil al-Assad, brother of Hafez al-Assad, who called himself Imam al-Murtada. Jamil al-Assad established dozens of Shiite seminaries in Syria, most of them in the cities of Latakia and Tartus, and gathered thousands of followers from poor communities and beneficiaries. Jamil al-Assad reached Darha, Jazira, al-Mishli, and the tribal areas of Homs and Hama, spreading Shiism across Syria in an unprecedented manner. After the growth of its influence and that of his brother Imam al-Murtada, Hafez al-Assad dissolved the Iranian Murtada Society in 1983, whose followers turned into bandits and gangs, later known as Shabiha, or secret police. Iran supported Hafez al-Assad with $200 million in the form of crude oil, 5 million tons of coal at reduced prices, and $5 billion in loans. In return, Hafez al-Assad sided with Iran in its war with Iraq, closed the Iraqi oil pipeline, and helped the Iranians secure Scud missiles and train their cadres to use them, which solidified the relationship between the two regimes in the 1980s. The relationship between the two regimes became even stronger after the end of the Lebanese Civil War in 1989, when Hashemi Rafsanjani and Hafez al-Assad agreed to place their followers in Lebanon, the Amal movement, and Hezbollah to serve the interests of Iran and Syria. The development of Syrian-Iranian relations brought the Shiite missionary movement back to Syria and reached their peak in 1991 after the uprising of the south in Iraq, which led to the arrival of large numbers of Iraqis, most of whom were Shiite activists who settled in the neighborhoods of Al-Min and Sayyida Zainab in Damascus. The number of Shiite shrines in Syria increased from 3 shrines and 1 hawza before Hafez al-Assad's rise to power and under the supervision of the Syrian Ministry of Endowments to 46 estates on the Syrian coast and 15 estates in Damascus and its countryside at the time of his death in 2000. Therefore, Hafez al-Assad's death opened the door for Iran to take control of Syria after bequeathing power to his weak and inexperienced son, Bashar al-Assad.